In this video, I'm going to build something off what we learned in Chapter 11, which is the file handling chapter. So I'm going to go ahead and start a new script here. I'm going to just remove this other file, and I'm just going to save this as a newsletter subscription. Okay, and I'll save it right into my applications. I'll keep it as simple as I can. This really is about file handling. Okay. So this is a newsletter.php, and I'm not going to have a text file. I'm simply going to use PHP to subscribe, to allow myself to subscribe to a newsletter. So let's call this newsletter subscription, and I'll just have a quick form. Okay, so form, always good to get more experience with this. So I'm going to go form action equals newsletter.php, and the method equals post. Okay, and this is the closing form. Okay, now all we need for this is an email. So we'll do label for equals email, and then we'll do subscribe. Again, we're going to try to keep this to its lowest level of complexity. And then I'll do input type equals text, actually email since it is an email, hello, and the name can be equal to email. And since we have a label for, we'll add an ID equals email. Okay. Now, I'm going to have a quick submit button, no big deal, and then we can move forward. Okay. Name equals submit, and the value can be equal to subscribe. Okay, cool. So now all I have to do is do what we've been doing in this course already and say something like if scalar underscore post subscribe, actually submit because it's the name attribute, if that happens to be equal to subscribe, then we can go ahead and do something about it. Okay. So basically, I'll grab the values, email equals scalar underscore post email. And the other thing I'm going to do is make use HTML5 and just make it required. So required. There we go. So that way I know that this will have some sort of value and it'll be the proper format from the browser's requirements. But now we have to figure out how are we going to store this. Now, if you know SQL already, use SQL, but this is a nice way to communicate what was taught with the file handling with some application. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create what's called a file handle. The file handle will be a variable that will be equal to the file that's opened. And we can use the function fopen that was shown in week 11, or I'm sorry, in chapter 11. So what we're going to do, we can call this subscribers.txt, and you may notice that in my folder, I don't have subscribers.txt yet. Well, what PHP is going to do is check to see if the file exists, and if it does not exist, it's going to create it, and it's going to make it writable, so we can write email addresses. Okay, so we've got this, and we have a few choices for what we can put as the second parameter of fopen. As you probably saw in the Chapter 11 video, there's an R for read, there's a W for write, and an A for append. Well, if we had write here, then it would continually write over the subscribers with the new subscription, with the new email address. So we don't want that. We want the append. So what I'm going to do is do an A. Okay? And I'm going to do it in double quotes. There we go. Oops. Excuse me. So I have right now opened up subscribers.txt for appending mode. Cool. So now what I need to do is literally fwrite, and it takes two parameters. So the file handle is the first, and then the value that we're going to be writing. And the value that we're going to be writing is email. Okay? So the important thing, though, is we can write this email, but we need to find a way to designate each email as being different from the others, because if we keep appending, it's going to write emails and there won't be any space, any line break, or anything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to append email, but with a carriage return. Okay? And then I'm going to fclose that file handle. And I'll output a response. It'll be something like echo, thank you for subscribing. And then we can test it. Okay? So, pretty easy stuff. Let's go ahead and go to my local host right here, and we'll do, here's newsletter, like here, right? So I'll do kdsecor@gmail. Subscribe. Cool. Now let's see if it works. Remember, there was nothing, no subscribers.txt there. Guess what? Now there is. Ooh, there's my email. So now I've been able to store the email in a text file. And keep in mind, generally we would put this above the root level of the server because PHP has access to that. And it shouldn't be visible to any bots or anything out there. We don't want to give away our subscribers list. So ordinarily this would probably be up a couple, up one root level. In fact, I could go ahead and do that. I can do something like .. like this, and go back, hit newsletter, and do something like this email address. Hit subscribe, and now when I go to my subscribers.txt, it won't be there. But if I go above the root, which is not accessible by the web, it should be there. So right here, I'm in htdocs. There's the subscribers.txt, and there's the email address. Okay. So it's a beautiful thing. We've been able to secure it. You don't, for this, there's an assignment this week. You don't have to do it for that, but just know there's some danger here with having that value be visible, the values of the emails. So there we go. We've been able to subscribe, and I can go ahead and add more subscriptions. I can go back and do my other emails. I can do ksecor@ucsd.edu, subscribe. And thank you for subscribing appears. Now I go to my subscribers, and there it is again. So that's a really cool thing. Now, let's say I wanted to see all these things. What I could do is just print R, and this is file, and it's subscribers.txt. So what file does is it turns any file into an array of lines. So watch what happens now when I go back and load it. There's my array of subscribers. So let's do we'll do this other email address. Subscribe. Now I've got a third. So I can do Tom at MySpace. I miss him. He's my only friend. So there's Tom at MySpace. There we go. Boom. Perfect. So that file is going to come in really handy when we want this newsletter to work. Now, how do we unsubscribe? Well, what we need to do is have a submit button that says unsubscribe, like this, and basically what I can do is if submit is equal to subscribe like that, I can do that, and if submit is equal to unsubscribe, then I could unsubscribe the code right here. So let's comment that out and do unsubscribe. Now this is going to be an important part of your homework, so be ready for this. So there's a few things you can do. And what I might recommend is that when you unsubscribe with this methodology, it's a lot different than SQL. Now, with SQL, you're going to learn you could just write an SQL statement that says delete from table where email equals email. It's that easy. Okay? So what we're going to be doing is pulling in the array of files. So I can call this scalar. Oops, excuse me. Scalar emails equals this value, because that would be an array. Okay. Now, what we can do is just replace that email in the array. Okay. So now what I can do is build a new list based on the list of emails. So I can say something like we can use a for each loop, scalar emails as scalar email. Well, let's go ahead and create a new list without the one person who unsubscribed, right? So the new list will equal, and we have to use the dot equals to make sure that we add to the new list. So the new list will equal each email, okay? And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make this a little bit of a separate variable because we're reusing that email, and it just seems better for you guys to be less confused if I do that. Great, so now what I have is for each one of these emails in my list, my current subscribers, and I can change this as current subscribers. Current subscribers. The more you make the variable names make sense, the better off you're going to be. And then I can say, okay, so for each current subscribers as an email address, the new list would equal that email address, right? And this contains those carriage returns, so it'll always work with the Word file. Anyway, now what we have to do is make sure the new list does not include the old list. So what we're going to do is say if scalar email does not equal the email address, then let's make sure that the new list has that. Okay? And at this point, what we need to do is, at the end of this loop, we'll have a new list. And we can now, I'll write a comment here, now use file handling to rewrite the new list. Use file handling to rewrite the new list. So I'm going to do new file handle, and I can use scalar fh again. We can use the exact same thing, but what we're going to be doing is copying this entire block of code. We're going to open up this, but not for appending this time, but for writing. We're going to write over the entire file. And we're going to write new list. And the new list should already have those line breaks, the carriage returns, so we don't need to do anything like that. And we can say, we're sorry to see you go. Something like that, you know. We are sorry to see you go. And I'll add a break tag to that. So now, again, when we unsubscribe, we get the user's email that they want to unsubscribe with. We turn the subscribers list into an array. We loop around that list. And then if the email that was sent as to unsubscribe is not equal to any of those email addresses, then we'll add it to the new list, and then we'll rewrite the new list. Let's go ahead and test it. So I'm KDSecor right now, right? You can see it in here. And what I'm going to do is do KDSecor. And what's going to happen is it's not going to work. Watch. Unsubscribe, and you see it there. You see KDSecor? And the reason why that is because each line has that carriage return. The email is not carriage return. The email address, like this email, what we're going to do is do a dot, a double dot, and add the same carriage return we added originally. Okay, I don't want to do pattern matching to test that if it's there, we could. But if email with a carriage return is not equal to the email address, this should work. So I'm going to go ahead and hit refresh again, and you see it worked. Now we can do Tom at MySpace. MySpace is 10 years old. I'm sick of them. Bye. Now Tom's gone. So now what we've done is been able to do subscribe and unsubscribe, and you'll need this script for your homework.